If you're a practitioner and you have a fear that you're not qualified, you're not confident, or maybe not experienced enough, this one is for you. Guess what? Your patient could not actually judge your treatment. They are not clinically trained. They don't know how good technique from average technique, and they certainly can't tell the difference between your needle and someone else's. But I'm not going to sell you a pretty version of what it means, because the pretty version, just to be confident, that's not a strategy. It's a cover-up for what I call winging it. What it actually means is this. They are buying you, not the toxin, not the filler, not the laser, not the treatment. It's you. And what that really requires, because let's be honest, this is the only thing that's going to support you when you're freaking out, nervous with your first few patients, and your hands are shaking like mad. So guys, especially if today you feel like you're not ready, not good enough, or you need more courses before anyone will trust you, this is the opposite, and I'm about to tell you why. Welcome back, guys. I'm Nurse Sarah Louise. I built my business from a back garden room with a £10,000 personal loan. I had no business experience, no blueprint, and absolutely nobody telling me I could do it. I wasn't the most experienced nurse in my area. I also wasn't the cheapest, and I definitely wasn't the most confident in those early days. I was literally building a client base from nothing in my garden room, while my entire personal life was falling apart in the background. So I did what every other new practitioner does. I looked at what I could see, which was the treatment, and I tried to compete on the only things I thought mattered, my price and my qualifications. I'd almost apologize when I said my prices out loud, and I dropped them before anyone had even offered to pay, even just to avoid that awkward silence. And unfortunately, that taught my patients that maybe I thought I wasn't sure even about my own price. I know exactly how it feels because I lived it. I came from a place of genuinely believing that one more training day or one more treatment introduced would be the thing that literally made me feel legitimate. And there were days I was convinced that everyone else had something I simply didn't have yet. But when I tell you the treatment was never the thing, it's not the theory, and it's not a confidence quote. It's the business I actually built, and I'm still here. And so is everyone that walked in for just a treatment and stayed for years. Guys, take this from someone who has actually lived it, doubted it, and undercharged through it, and figured it out the hard way. Skills get you in the room. Trust is what builds the business. Let me get this straight. There is someone offering the exact same treatment as you, just 5 minutes down the road, often cheaper, sometimes with more letters to their name, and of course more devices than us. So why would anyone choose you instead? And your years of certificates, because the practitioners who struggle are rarely the least skilled ones. Nobody knows and nobody remembers. And the ones who thrive aren't always the most qualified ones either. They're the ones people trust. I know it doesn't feel that way when you're just starting out and all you can see is the certificate on the wall and the price list in your hand, because we always believe the missing piece is one more qualification, one more device, and one more model day before we're truly ready, right? But here's what I wish someone had told me. That version of ready actually doesn't exist. There is no future version of you with more letters and more certainty quietly waiting to begin, because that practitioner, she ain't coming. The practitioner who builds the business is the one who starts being trusted before she feels fully ready, and that can be you. Guys, competing on price will always cost you something, and I refuse to dress that up or soften it for you, because anyone that tells you to discount to attract more patients doesn't understand value proposition at all. I'm not here to sell you the idea that being affordable is a strategy, because on paper, I'll just be cheaper sounds like a sensible way to win bookings, right? When you're new and maybe even when you're nervous. But the moment you make that choice, you attract the client who will only ever care about price, the one who will leave the second someone cheaper turns up down the road. And then you'll work harder and harder for less and less. So I stopped chasing the cheapest price a long time ago, and I started chasing something more honest, which is value, knowing exactly what I was offering beyond the treatment itself, and being at peace charging it rather than apologizing my way through every damn consultation. I call it standing for something, because you trade the comfort of being the safe, cheap option for the slightly scarier position of being the one who actually has earned trust. And that trade-off isn't failure. Losing the client who only wanted a discount is is not a bad outcome, guys. That is a practitioner making a real decision about a business that she actually wants to build. So when a price shopper walks away, I need you to not spiral into thinking you've done something wrong, because when you know you're going in that, you stop feeling like a failure every single time it happens. You get to choose what you're known for, because you are not just at the mercy of whatever a client decides to compare you against. And that distinction totally matters more than anything else I could tell you, because standing for something does not mean you're being arrogant or pretending that you know everything either. And I need you to hear that, because there is a massive difference between confidently explaining why you turned a treatment down or pretending you don't have the answers yet. One of those builds trust, the other destroys it the second they find out. So sit down and actually decide it on purpose. Ask yourself, what do you genuinely believe about how this work should be done? What you won't compromise on, no matter how badly you want the booking, because when you name those things in advance, you stay in control of your own reputation, rather than just watching it get decided for you by whoever's the cheapest this week. For me, it was simple. I would never tell a client what they wanted to hear just to make a sale. And I would never rush a consultation just to fit one more person in straight away. Those lines never moved, not once. And when I desperately needed the income in those early years, and that is the reason people started trusting me before I had any business reputation to point at all. When you choose what you stand for instead of letting the market decide it for you, you stay totally in control of your own brand. And that is the whole difference between a reputation that's built and one that just happens to you while you're too busy undercharging to even notice. I have to talk about the fear, because if you're new to this, you already know it's coming. And I don't even need to list it out for you, because you know exactly what it feels like to sit across from a client and wonder if they can somehow tell if you've only done this a handful of times. There was a client early on. She actually booked because of how I answered her questions on the phone before she even came in. Not because of anything on my menu, not because about my needles, not because how I stood. Interestingly, she said I actually sounded like I cared whether it was right for her or not, than whether she actually booked the treatment. I want to be really honest with you. That genuinely surprised me, because in my head, I was nervous. I was the underqualified one, the one who still felt like a fraud some days. But she never saw any of that. She just felt looked after. And that's the moment I understood that the fear in your head is rarely the thing the client experiences from the other side of the conversation. Something I didn't fully understand at the time. The nervousness isn't proof that you're not ready. It's proof you actually care about getting it right for them. And that's not a flaw to hide. That's an entire foundation your brand is being built on. You're not tricking anyone by charging properly and standing behind your work before you feel fully confident. And you're showing them exactly who you are. And there's an enormous difference between those two things, even when they feel like they're from the same on the inside. So guys, remember this. A treatment is a commodity. Anyone can offer it. You are not, from your first client, you are not just performing a procedure, you're building a reputation. So remember this, guys. A treatment is a commodity and anyone can offer it. From your first client, you're not just performing a procedure, you're building a reputation, a feeling, and a name for yourself. That's the brand, and you're already building it whether you've noticed it or not. And on those days you want to undercharge just to feel safe or not lose the sale, or you want to add another course because you don't feel ready, just remember that the hesitation doesn't mean you chose the wrong path. It means you're taking it seriously, and you've already survived every nervous first appointment you've had so far, so keep going. Not because it's easy, but because the practitioner you're becoming on the other side of all of this is going to be worth every uncomfortable consultation it takes to get there. You don't need anyone's permission, and you don't need more certificates before you're allowed to charge what you're worth. Built right with honesty and intention, like I always say, your skill and your confidence make each other compatible and stronger. So guys, if this video resonated with you, do one thing for me. Hit like, because somewhere out there is another nervous new practitioner who needs to see this, and that genuinely helps them find it. Subscribe also, because I make these for practitioners exactly like you. I'm Nurse Louise, this is The Business Injection, and I'll see you guys in the next one.